Hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. When we left off, we were on Aquilo doing some science production, and also just sort of generally having a factory here. So, let's see here. What else? So one of the things which we need to do is we need to get more ice platform production, which we should be able to do relatively straightforwardly now that we have like a basic setup going. So if we just go somewhere out of the way, and quantum processors is something we're going to need to make at some point soon. We're going to have to set all sorts of shenanigans to get a bunch of resources here. For now though, let's see. How about we just do this like up here on this little mini island? So we get that, and it's going to feed into a chemical plant, and we're gonna have to worry about temperature for all of this. But we do the ammonia solution thing, and then we get an assembler. Cyan, hello. We are going to be trying to expand our production of ice platforms for this. So this assembler is going to do the actual ice platform assembling. And now theoretically, if we just go like that, and like that, then we get the heat pipes connected up to all of this. Oh, we also need our pipe to go there. So we just get heat pipes running along this way, like that, and then this outputs to a box, and then this has to wrap all the way around the other edge to get that. I wonder if there's some better way of doing that. Can't think of it at the moment. Alright, so now we just have to bring our heat pipes up. So that goes up to there. And then we get the power lines as well. And that should be all powered. And now, how does this look in terms of power usage? It looks fine. So this here, it only takes 50 ammonia. We're getting way more than that. So this can be speed moduled to go much faster. And this one can also be speed moduled. So if we get a whole bunch of speed modules in there, then we're gonna need efficiency modules so that this doesn't blow up the entire power grid, probably. So let's get that going. So now this is plus 130% and plus 60% instead of plus 20 billion%. Okay, and apparently we just need that in there. And now this whole thing just runs, hopefully. And I'm not sure whether we'll have too much of a backlog of anything up here. Because, like, I don't know if the ratios are correct. So this has... Let's see, this is 10 times as much ammonia as ice. And this is less than 10 times as much ammonia usage as ice usage. So, in order for this to work out, we need... If we just have more of these machines than this so that we're always short on something, then that might do it. Although, even then, I'm not sure. How did we get this running down here? Because we just used a bunch of stuff for other purposes. Okay. So yeah, this setup is not going to work then. So we need multiple outputs per chemical plant. So that means we need a belt and an underground pipe. And then that can go across like that. Then we get this. There's no way we can reach that, right? No. Okay. So we need to do a bit clever of a design. Maybe the... Okay, I think I thought of something. If the underground pipe just goes all the way across to the other side, then we have this space in here, potentially. So we have this, and that heat goes into there. That goes into there. Now we have to get all of this temperatured up, which I don't know if that's going to be even remotely possible because the pipes just don't work out. Okay, that's concerning. And if we want to have multiple machines, like another one here, then that's going to cause problems. So, how do we deal with that? So we need this to work that way. Yeah, just making like rows of machines is very difficult on Aquilo. Okay, wait, here's an idea. If this goes like even further that way, then this loops around like that, and then maybe even one more. How far can this go? So this can go like all the way out to there, right? And then loop around back that way. And then we can run this heat pipe down in the middle of that and across the edge. All right, that works. But we want to make it slightly more space efficient. So that heat pipe goes along that way. This underground pipe can just be there and like that. And like that. And then the heat pipe goes around like there. So now that is all connected up and temperatured. But then we have the inserters to think about next. So, okay, what if we change this around? So obviously we still need that inserter to be there. And I think we need more space in this area. So we have that inserter, and we have our belt. But then if our belt goes underground every so often, like this, then we can have a heat pipe sneak in there whenever it needs to warm those bits up. And this we can then tile a bunch. So then we get our chemical plant in, and we Pop it in there. Then that connects up. And this is set to do that. And now we need to get this output out like that, I guess. Could work. So this is 4 items per inserter. That's not going to be enough. And we can't fit in another one because of where all this has to go. Okay. I mean, we can do this sort of thing again separately. Have another row of belts in here. We don't have the space for that, but we can cut this whole system, move it to there, and then this belt can run down that way. And now we need to do some stuff like that. And then get under this to there. Alright. And now we just have to get that all connected back up. Pop that pipe in. Alright, now I think if we just power all of this, and oh, I haven't thought at all about the output of these. Or, okay, so this, we just have to get underground belts like that. And then we can put the heat pipe in there. Oh wait, that can't be a long-handled inserter now. That just has to be one of those. So that goes across. You get powered up. Now we need to worry about the outputs, which I definitely needed to think about and didn't. So, this... obviously we can't do long-handled inserters or short-handled inserters because we need the heat pipes all the way there. Although actually, let's see, this one here can just go across like that. So this one could fit in a long-handled inserter to a belt. And then that can just come down there. And this first one, I guess this first one just doesn't get to exist because it needs to have this pipe going through in that area. So we have you be up there instead with all that running along. And wait, that's not where an underground belt goes. We need the underground belt to be like there. And then that runs like that. The heat pipes go. And then we get this underground pipe here, which goes in like that. You get pasted that setting across. This heat pipe can connect into there to get you warmed. And then we just need this belt to go up. And this belt, this heat pipe to follow it. Then this goes underground for a bit while we put a heat pipe in. And now we just have to get power poles in wherever they will fit. There we go. Then this gets its output, and somehow I've managed to put all the power poles in just like the least efficient possible places, which is certainly something. So this is 5 and 50. then this is like 4 and 32. So if we accelerate those guys to be super fast, and then accelerate you to be super fast, that's 12.5. This is 12.5 ice. This is 125 ammonia. This is 100 ammonia. So even with this, we're still getting more ammonia than we know what to do with, but at least we have something resembling a scalable setup, so we know it can be done. So that's huge. So now let's just get a box down here for all of that stuff to get stored in. And then we're going to need to find some way of dealing with all this excess ammonia. And I wonder if we... Let's see here. If we just like... There's got to be a better way of doing the power lines in here. There simply has to be. So if we can squeeze in a beacon, and you can make this one even faster. Okay, now our assembly machines are absolutely insane. And we have too much ammonia now. So the ammonia buildup, I think, is just always going to happen because the ratios aren't quite correct. And the way I had fixed that down here is that I was just using ammonia for other things. So I guess that's what we need to do. We need to just get some of this oil out. And we need more pipes of both kinds. Do either of you have those? No. Of course not. Alright, so you can probably just head back to pick up more stuff. We are super low on pipes, and we have no underground pipes at all. So I can grab a couple more, craft a couple more. I can only craft one pipe to ground currently. Does the Spidertron... Okay, the Spidertron has a couple spare. So we can grab from there to keep us building for a little bit. Okay, so this gives us oil, which we then... Is that in a chemical plant, I assume? Yes. So then we take this... And, oh, we finished artillery shell range. I didn't know we were even researching that. Very cool. So let's do mining productivity again. That's always a fun thing to research. And Novice is going to get attacked like crazy now, but that's fine. Okay, so we need to get this pipe of ammonia out of this system. So that speed beacon isn't necessary, which means we can use this space for pipe maneuvering. So this comes down here, and that can get heated up, and then we just need to have a row, theoretically, of chemical plants, which is going to be a bit tricky. So let's put that in there, and you are going to make solid fuel from ammonia. And so that connects down that way. So for now, we're just going to get one in, and then we're going to try to build up enough of these guys to get even more. So the ammonia is connected properly. Now we need to get the oil up, which just runs up this way. Okay, and then you need to go over there. That's probably fine. It's all just walls being destroyed. We'll know something's actually gone wrong when things other than walls and laser turrets and drones start getting blown up. Okay, so we need to get this whole area temperature fixed, which means we can just shift that around a little bit. Okay, that's like a lot of laser turrets, though. Did they chop a power line? No, they've just been extremely successful down here. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, as long as all that stuff gets replaced. And I guess we should probably just rebuild, get this to be a bit denser. Because apparently that's something which needs to be done. Where else are we getting hit? This corner down here is doing just fine. This wall here got hit pretty hard. Let's add a couple more laser turrets onto that. And where else? This... Okay, so this is just a defensive setup, so that's fine. So I think we're all good with that. Now we just need to finish running this heat pipe down all the way down to there. And now we get, not quite like that, we get this powered, and we have oil now, which means this will be taking all of that extra stuff and making solid fuel out of it. And then that solid fuel we can just simply heating tower. Let's see, apparently this doesn't quite line up perfectly space-wise. So we get that, and just like that. Then we put a power line in, and boom. That is 30 ammonia per second gone. Now this is 12.5 and 125. This is using exactly the correct amount of ice and is 25 ammonia short. So we might... Let's see here. Are we going to run out of ammonia and get like an ice backlog? I don't think so, but it is possible. But what we can do is we can... let's see here. How do we need to do this? We need to set this up to like only run when necessary, basically, to keep the ammonia down. Which, I don't know. Maybe it'll be fine. We'll just leave it like this for now. So we are making our ice platforms, and Aquilo support is almost back to novice. Pretty sure there was something that I wanted to grab, aside from just like the regular pipes and stuff. Or we could use more concrete. We could basically always use more concrete, but that is going to be delivered, so that should be fine. Okay, so this is all working now. And the goal is to just get enough of this ice platform that we can actually like reasonably expand. Because space, and we've basically used like a solid, what, 70% of the space maybe? and we're still a very, very tiny setup. So we're going to need so many ice platforms in order to build anything like even remotely reasonably sized on this planet. Alright, so how's the science going? We've got a good chunk of science. Aquilo support 2 is there on Novice with science in its inventory, but it hasn't dropped it down yet. So did we not set this up to request science properly? Where are you? Yeah, we need that in. So we go to, where is it? Intermediates, cryogenic science. I don't know. Request like 2,000 so that hopefully that request will never be met and we'll just have enough all the time. Alright, so now the cryogenic science is showing up into the machines. Not currently being used because we're doing mining productivity. But we are building it up so that in the future we can do some stuff with that. Alright, so that is all going. Now, this is still running, it looks like. And in terms of speed, this is 0.24 per second. Previously we had 0.08 per second. So that's a pretty dramatic improvement. Okay, so this solid fuel is output full, which means it's not draining enough ammonia, potentially. Can we get this to run any faster? Unclear. Alright, so that's fine, though. The next thing we want to do is get more power. So we already have this set up here, and this is literally 2 steam turbines providing all of the power for this entire planet, which seems a bit silly. So let's try to set up another area for that. So let's maybe just set up... We want to have access to as much of this solid fuel as possible. Although, technically it's all connected up to the heating system, so like it should be fine, I guess. Like if everything is all connected up to the heating system, then specifically creating designated heating for power production might not be entirely necessary. Although, yeah, so that should actually be fine. What we need is just a supply of ice cubes and to turn those into water. So currently, this turns 1 ice cube into 20 water, but we only use like 10 of it. So that's very inefficient. So let's craft another offshore pump, I guess. Apparently we're running low on these, on the ability to craft them. And yeah, the space is also a problem. This area is all oil field stuff. I don't want to build over that. So I guess we can go over here. We get that. Now, can we actually just get this existing belt of solid fuel all the way over this way? Maybe if we do some funky things with the heat pipes. So if this heat pipe goes... No, that needs to be there to get all of that stuff heated up. So that is all unnecessary, but that also means that this... We're so close to that being able to reach. Actually, okay, I think we're close enough that we can make this work. So if we take that out, move this heat pipe over to there. And then move this whole system over one as well. Okay, getting the power poles in here is quite tricky, actually. Squeeze that into there. Now, that can connect out that way. And then go under again. And of course, there's a gigantic rocket silo right there. Is that necessary? No, we can connect that up over to there. And then run this out like that. So we have our solid fuel moving along so that we can provide more heating if necessary. Then we have our ammonia, which we have to break down. Wait, I just realized we need to get rid of... We still need to get rid of the excess ammonia if we want this to produce ice, which means we actually just need to be producing fresh solid fuel over here anyways. So, yeah, I mean, we just need, like, most of this, except instead of these, we have chemical plants to melt it to water. Okay, so we start with a chemical plant, and you are going to do some ammonia splitting and get heated up. Then we need to... Yeah, can I just copy paste this? I'm just gonna copy paste like this entire setup and then rework what needs to be reworked once we are there. So that overlap goes there. Now all of this gets placed in, and that is a whole lot easier than designing it from scratch. Now we just connect the heat up like so. And these, we need to take those out because they need to be different. And they are going to be there and there. And they are instead going to be ice melting. So this needs to not connect up, because this is a water pipe, not an ammonia pipe. So this ammonia pipe that we have here, we still need it to come out though. We need you to come out to here and go under all the way over to there. So that will be getting rid of the ammonia. This will be melting the ice. And then this is our water. Then we get some heat exchangers in, which let's get, say, 2 of those for now. Oh, this, I was wondering why this hadn't started up doing anything at all. There we go, do that. And then this heat pipe runs along the exchangers so that they can get heat as well. And then we get our steam, and we have to get in some more turbines. Am I blind? Where are those? Oh, here they are. So we can just do this. Probably should still work. It's going to be a little bit of effort getting the heat around to them, but we can just do something like that, basically. And this last one is now heated. Alright, cool. That's that. And now we need the power lines to connect them up. Alright, so we now just need to turn this ammonia into solid fuel, which needs more crude oil. I wish we had done this over here now. Is there anything at all else that we can usefully do with this ammonia that we've just produced? Not especially. We can't even recycle it because it's a fluid. Okay. So, how is this going? Is this up here still working? Yes, this is still going. We have 158 ice foundation from up there, so that's good, at least. Now our crude oil pipe here. Let's see if we can just sort of bring that around. I guess you're going down like this. And taking a bit of a roundabout path. This does kind of suck because all of this is going to need to get warmed up. Alright, so then that goes across there. This is all refilled, and let's actually just set those to even higher numbers because we seemingly need an infinite supply of them. We don't need the storage chests. We don't need all of these uranium fuel rods. Let's toss those back. And then once these show up, then we can go. So Aquilo support 2 is loading up on cryogenic science as usual. Okay, so back to doing this. We need to get a heat pipe out somewhere in this area. And that can go down like that, up like that. Take that temporary machine out. Okay, so that is all set up. Now we run the heat pipe down that way. Spidertron has another couple heat pipes, but we are certainly running low on those. Alright, so we've made it that far. So then we go underground there. Wait, we already went underground there. And that's all good. And the power grid has failed. Why has the power grid failed? Hooray! I sure do love it when things break for no reason. Okay, so what's going on? No input fluid, and temperature is dropping fast. Okay, we must have just overused it and broken things. So we need to... this is going to be annoying if this just happens constantly. So we need to disconnect like as much as possible from the grid so that only this is producing power. And this is going, it's going to make its water, and then that's going to go, and we should be fine. And then hopefully we have enough solid fuel that the temperature doesn't crash and get us all bricked that way. Alright, so this is set up and ready to go. Let's send it over. All the drones are in there. And it was a massive rocket silo spike, which might have been... that might be what did it. It's not entirely clear. Okay, I still don't think we have enough cryogenic science to actually do those researches yet. So ideally, if we can get this system set up, we can actually just have this like on a relatively separated grid so that our power supply isn't interrupted like that. But yeah, this certainly is a problem. And Aquilo is missing its concrete for some reason. I don't know how that happened. Oh, probably just because, yes, the drone storages are down. Alright, so this is running and producing power, which seems to mostly be going into keeping the drone's port happy. But it is running. And it's about to stop, though. So is this just really spiky? No, this has like 200 water in it. And this is going. Alright, so we're almost back. We're not quite there yet, because we need this massive roboport demand to get dealt with. We also need our... Okay, no, that's just dropped down because the satisfaction has dropped down a lot. So that is going. And then stuff is getting built. Okay, now hopefully we have enough of a head start on all of that stuff that if we start reconnecting things, hopefully it'll be fine. Alright, so now everything is connected back up. And our accumulators are draining, and it's all gonna immediately fail. What are all those drones doing? Man, those drones decided to move. Okay, now satisfaction is bad again. Which certainly isn't ideal. This is why I'm trying to get this set up. So what's taking... It's mostly the roboports and a little bit of the other stuff too. But it is mostly roboport demand at this point. Which, like, I can't efficiency module that, so that's just gonna be that way. Until this gets set up. So these aren't getting any ice because this has too much ammonia. Right, that's... We need to get this crude oil over. And this crude oil just needs to get like all the way over this way. And that's that. Reload support is almost here. So that should provide us more building materials. And then we're going to need this to sort of just wrap around like that. And now there's just a whole bunch of drones waiting to do that. How is the power supply going? I think it's not going great again. Yeah, we're about to run out again. Yikes. This is pretty terrible. Like, in terms of good situations, this is not one of them. So once again, we disconnect everything from that. Temperature is still able to keep up, but I might need to fuel these. Man, those drones are moving. They're doing some stuff. I'm very worried about the temperature. Let's get some nuclear fuel in. That's what this stuff is all for. So you get some. You get some. And hopefully, I guess we can run up here, and I could have sworn I picked up more than just like the 2 specks of it there, but apparently not. Oh, I hit caps lock and not shift. That's funny. Alright, so you have nuclear fuel to run for a while. You can run up here and give you some as well. Hopefully that's enough. Hopefully that's at least, like, close to enough. So this is still not working. Is it, like, nighttime or something? Yeah, of course it's nighttime. Why would it be daytime when I'm trying to reboot the power? That would just be way too convenient, you see. Alright, so this is almost there. We just need to get this set up, and then our power situation will be mostly fixed. So that skips underground to there. This goes through to there. And this is 125 ammonia. Okay, wait, but this doesn't need those speed modules, does it? We only need like 2 ice for this to work. So that is 50 ammonia. This is 30, which means we need another one. So let's get that in, which means that this pipe needs to sort of go along like that, and then that goes down, and that goes down, that goes across, then the heat pipe goes all the way through there, that does that to allow this heat pipe to come out, and now we're out of heat pipes. Do we have more in here somewhere? Yes, we do. Okay, apparently we can get some of that stuff built preemptively. The very, very slow adjustment of the Spidertron always throws me off. Alright, so then that is built. Now we get this to go out, and then you do that, and then that goes across, and we then get a couple heating towers down here which connect up to that and down to that. Alright, something like that ought to work. Now I just need to go pick up a bunch of ice cubes to do manually. So we grab our ice blocks, we run down here, get all of this manually built. And there it goes. So this is, apparently we are still a single underground pipe short. Okay, but Aquilo support is here. So we can send down some of this stuff, some of those, some heat pipes, a whole bunch of concrete. And let's get some crafting materials and some belts. How long is that going to take to drop? Apparently quite a while. Okay, so that is all going. Now we can get some of this nuclear fuel, toss it in there, and we have some water in these pipes. Some managed to get through, which is pretty neat, because it should theoretically mean that these might get heated all the way up and start working. Okay, this stuff over here still isn't running to any meaningful extent. We do have solar power up. So solar power is going. That's good. And let's see, what else? I mean, this is very, very slowly working. What else is connected up to this grid? Not much. Just all of this stuff, and then down here to this drone port, I guess. We can disconnect that. So now there's only one drone port up here. Actually, no, that drone port up there is disconnected too. So this should be running now, right? Yes. Alright, so this is running again. That's producing power. Very nice. So then, next step is connect that up to this so that we can get the accumulators running. And also all these drones charging. So now the accumulators can start going, and those can fill up. And over here, this is all not working. Oh, those pipes there need to be heated so that these can eventually get their ammonia. Alright, then these guys here, their temperature is falling. That's not good. We need to keep the temperature up so that this whole system can actually produce power. If the temperature falls below 500 degrees, we are extremely screwed. So we can run around and do that. And now... Okay, now let's go for it. If we just connect all of this stuff up, then now all of this entire section is connected to power, which means that these machines should all be running. So yeah, these are making water. And of course, this stupid rocket takes 20 billion. Alright, let's see if I can get another efficiency module in there for you. Just, I don't know, maybe that'll help a little bit. So we still just, we need this area to heat up. It's taking forever. Maybe if we just connect that more directly. So these are gaining temperature, which should eventually cause them to start working. This has too much ammonia. Oh, I see. These underground pipes here never got built. But I did send down fresh underground pipes, so I should be able to run over here, grab a couple stacks of each of those, And some stacks of some other stuff as well. Alright, now we run back over here. So now this is producing some stuff. Oh, that... We need the heat pipe to get in there. Okay, can we fix that? Can we fix that on a whim? How do we get into there? We need this pipe to go back a little bit. Wait, can we... No, it's all just barely spaced for it to not work. Okay, so what if we do something like that? And then that reaches down to there and gets that running. But now, of course, this one isn't connected up properly. Alright, so if we take that out and connect that pipe in like that, now I think we're all good. Yes, so now we have both of these producing solid fuel. And these have plenty of water and an ice backlog, which we might need to do the whole recycling thing. Yeah, so let's get a recycler in over here. And that, I mean, it should be relatively simple. We just go boom and boom. And then you get this. And then we just run the heat pipes along. Alright, so now we have an ice recycler, so that'll never get stuck. This is producing solid fuel, so this shouldn't get stuck. Although let's keep those doing nuclear fuel for now. Okay, now there's a crude oil shortage because this side over here never got connected back. So we just do that. And now that is all going. Okay. We're almost at the point where this power is online. And then we're going to have to figure out how to expand this a little bit more. Because these heat exchangers, we have 2 of them. We could fit in another 2 to increase the power some more. Okay, and also apparently this drone port isn't connected, so let's get that drone port connected up. So the accumulator charge is definitely wobbly, especially with all the drone ports in. So now we just kind of have to hope that we have this working to provide the extra power that we need. Because accumulator charge has crashed again. Because of course it has. If we can just get this running, then we'll be good to go. And the roboports and the occasional rocket silo spike continue to be the big drains. And power grid continues to have problems with that. So you are losing temperature. Why are you losing temperature? So this is short on crude oil because this is low power. Okay. So, I guess, I mean, it's not going to hurt, at least, to add another one of you in and get you heated up. So that should somewhat increase the proportion of the supply of power that the crude oil has, and then we can continue to keep that running with just a little bit more nuclear fuel. So these ones down here are also not getting enough crude oil. But the temperature is so close. It is so close. Alright, keep those running with rocket fuel. And that'll last us just a little bit longer until this power is all online. And then hopefully we'll be good to go from there. Okay, nope. Power grid's crashed again, because of course it has. But if this can get filled up, then it'll just restart. So if these temperatures can get up to a good enough number, then we'll be all set. Send more fuel down, and then you've deposited basically everything you need, so you can head back. And let's grab some of all this stuff. And again, just try to keep everything running with just throwing some nuclear fuel around. Okay, this is still down at 18 kilowatts, but it's almost good. And we have more fuel to keep these going. And once this power gets online, hopefully we'll be recovered and everything will be good. Let's get some more accumulators in up here, just for when we do have power, just because that spike in demand from the power plants is still insane. So if we can get all of these guys in and also get them powered, which is a little bit tricky. So now if we ever wind up with enough power for a sustained basis, then we'll be good to go. Alright, so now that's going. And the accumulators are charging now. So that is all going well, in theory. So that's all running. And hopefully that can satisfy all of this demand now. So yeah. We now don't need nearly as much production as we have. Temperature is just barely above 500 here. I think we need more heating towers, honestly. Like, I don't know. So this one here makes 3 per second, which is hard to say how much this is. So this is a constant consumption of 16 megawatts. One solid fuel is 12 megajoules, so that is like slightly more than 1 a second, like what, 1.25 per second? So these two make 4 per second, which means these two, we can definitely add more into this. So yeah, let's just double that. Send our belt across. And that goes across like so. And then all of this gets hooked up. So it's all heated. Actually, it might have been heated just by proximity to the heating towers. Yeah, that's probably actually true, but whatever. So now it's also powered. And so these 4 should be able to take all of the solid fuel from these two, at least at current rates. And yeah, so power is back to running somewhat successfully. Now, if this gets stuck, which it shouldn't, then we might have a problem. And, okay, we should be able to add more onto this, right? So these are 40 megawatts of output each, and these only take 10 megawatts. So the amount of heating that we have isn't the issue right now, I don't think. It's like the amount of fuel, which should also be fine, probably. Yeah, I think the heating side isn't the issue, it's the ice and the water production side which we need to worry about, at least for now. So these two make 40 water total, which these two only take like 20 of. So we do need to fix this up a little bit. So that needs to go down a bit, and we need, let's see, we need to fit more of these in. So if we just do like that, and then copy paste this whole thing over one, like something like this. It's not quite right, there's random belts in there, but something like that theoretically should work, I think. So the top heating is connected up. Now the bottom heating can be connected up. And we're just waiting for some drone somewhere to get that placed in. So this then would take all of the power from that. And so yeah, adding that has cooled all of this down, which might break everything. It might be an issue, but hopefully it just gets heated back up fast enough that it's not a problem. Okay, so as far as this is concerned, these guys aren't quite keeping up. So if we get a couple of speed modules in there, just like one each, and apparently the crude oil supply is still too low. So let's get the crude oil supply nice and fast. We're not super concerned about running out. We're just going to have to do that. So now, over here, we have not quite enough crude oil. How much is this? This is like 36 crude oil. And now the power is being a problem again. That's cool. Dude, I do love it when my power grid fails randomly. Because of... I think I just heard a rocket launch, which probably is part of the cause of that. Yeah, that's not ideal. And then also this having dropped down, this should get fixed. That should spike back up. Let's get productivity modules in here so that hopefully, I mean, it's gonna kill the power demand in the short term, but if we can get some efficiency modules in there to offset that a little bit, then this should be more efficient at providing our heating while also being faster. Alright, this temperature is almost above 500, so we're almost there. And there's plenty of water, so once it hits that, then we should be good to go. Okay, there we go. Power is back, at least for that first row. And then this one should be following shortly after. Okay, so we're stable again, and the accumulators have charged. And really, like, this is still so awful, just all around, just absolutely cursed setup for the power here. But we are slowly getting there. So now our production capacity is back up, and we're all fine. And the weird thing is that the satisfaction that we need is so low, like 90% of the time. Except, like, as soon as something breaks, it spikes to, like, infinity. And just continues to spiral like that. Alright, so the temperature here is going to be back up and ready to go. So that's all good. This solid fuel production is almost 6, but it still isn't quite keeping up. So let's... Now that power isn't the concern, let's make you even faster. And then also make you even more productive. Okay, so now it is just the ammonia supply, which we only have like 50 of that. And it's not that surprising then that this isn't running at full capacity. Alright, so that is going. Power is now better than ever. And what I would love to do is just like get some storage tanks for some of these fluids. Can I craft any of those easily? If I grab some iron plates, I can. Pretty sure we've got iron plates in here somewhere. Yes. I almost missed them, but there they are. So let's craft up just a small handful of those. Okay. So now we can first get that water connected up. So now we can stockpile water so that if the heating grid is functional but the power grid isn't, we'll have a reserve of power to keep things going. So that should be fine, right? And if it goes like this, it's gonna last a long time and produce. It should last quite a while. 25k when we're using like what, 40 a second, and technically only producing 40 a second as well, but this is still going to be filling up because we're not using all the steam here. So this water tank should last us quite a while. And can we just get a programmable speaker here so that if something goes wrong with the water, we will know? So hopefully that will be helpful. So we get our speaker, connect that up. Forgot that speakers require power, so let's get that across. You are read contents, obviously, and you are going to be registering water is less than... I mean, theoretically, I would want this to, like, assume a full pipe. So if we just do that... okay. No volume. Just an alert, which is water supply lowering. There. So that Actually, let's just call that water supply low, because it might not necessarily be lowering. It'd be cool if I could tell, like, which direction it's going. There's definitely some way of doing that, but I don't really care enough. So eventually this will get filled up, and let's... So if we just speed module those to make even more water. It's not going to be wasteful because we're destroying most of the ice anyways. And then that'll just get this to fill up faster, and then we'll be good to go. So that's all that. This is just going at the speed of the ammonia, which we can also speed that up by throwing some into there. That's 125, which is actually technically slightly too much. So let's take one of those out. So we want to be able to ultimately deal with all the ammonia that we produce. So this could use 120 ammonia, and that would be fine. Although now we're just going to be running into solid fuel output problems, which is also perfectly fine. And then our storage tank is going to be filling up, and we should be good on that front. And then with this nice row here, temperature is no longer quite the same concern that it was a moment ago. And this is technically all connected across. So, like, technically this is all one big global system, although the way heat pipes work is weird and I don't fully understand them. But that is that. And the crude oil is going. And how is our ice cube supply? We are up to just 93 in there. And then this one up here has jammed. Why have you jammed? You don't have enough... Oh, right, you've jammed because I didn't get the ice recycling set up here. So you go into there. And then we just do this again. And bring the heat pipes around. Alright, so that drains the excess ice out, which there shouldn't be much of, and then keeps these guys producing. So that is good to go. Now, let's see here. Aquilo Support 2 has got another 500 science on its way back, and it drops it all off. Okay, so now we go back to Novice, and we find our science pack here. How much cryogenic science? How is there still 0? Is this... Have we been doing some science that uses cryogenic science? Or, like, it doesn't spoil or anything. So where exactly has all of our cryogenic science been going? Oh, we need purple science, apparently. That's the main shortage at this point. Oh, I see. The reason it's showing 0 in there is because it's all just in the machines. Like, each of these can hold 12 at a time, which is a lot. So we should theoretically... Yeah, we've got 200 there, 200 there. So yeah, that is actually all working, and the shortage is... Let's see which one of these isn't working. Production science? So what's wrong with production science, or is it just doing fine at its own rate? Okay, is that this one in here? Yeah, this is just going. We can make these speed module 3s. So that'll make it a little bit faster. And actually a decent chunk faster, really. So that is fine. But then... Okay. But then this... Oh, I see. This whole belt is past the passive provider chest. So that's what's going on with that. Okay, so that is all fine then. So we're just producing like 1.2-ish purple science a second, which is... This is showing science per minute of 130, right, because the biolabs double it. So yeah, that's all good. So rather than finishing all the way through there, let's queue up fusion reactor. See what happens with there. So fusion reactor research is now researching, which would be real cool if we could get that in to do all of the power production for various things. Alright, now that's like 11 minutes away in theory if we have enough stuff for it, which I do not know if we have. Okay, so this one isn't even running because our temperature is good enough. That's great. That power grid up there is doing its thing, and our water supply has been fixed. We are now up to have this full tank. And then I might also want to get a steam setup in in case we have too much steam but not enough what am I saying? For if we don't have enough heat, because the heating grid might also fail, and then that would cause this to break even if we have enough water, which wouldn't be ideal, but that seems less likely, honestly. I don't know. It's tough to say for certain. So right now the main consumers are assembly machines. And assembly machines, chemical plants, but beacons are the big one. That's not surprising. I do have a couple beacons in here now. Okay. Really what I want to be able to do is to just like have a system that I can just copy paste if I need more power, or if I need more ice platforms, because really we need to just be able to scale this better. So let's see here. This system down here, the problem with scaling power is that we need the crude oil, which inherently has to come in from like this supply over there, unless we can come up with some other clever thing to do with all the excess ammonia, like, I don't know, launch it into space or something, maybe. Alright, so the next goal, before we get to there, though, we have power now. Our next goal is quantum processors, which can be made either on Aquilo or on a space platform. And in order to do that, we need a whole bunch of stuff from everywhere, basically. So we need tungsten carbide, superconductors, carbon fiber, and lithium plate. So the processing units we have, because we're already importing those here. The lithium plates we have, because we're making those here. The fluoroketone we have, we're making that here. Superconductors, I believe we are importing, right? Is Aquilo Support 2 doing that? Yes, Aquilo Support 2 is getting superconductors. So then you need to add... Man, this one space platform is going to be going absolutely everywhere. I wonder if we need to add more space platforms on here. Alright, for now, let's just attach carbon fiber, tungsten carbide onto you. And then you're going to have to add gleba and vulcanus. Is this what we want this space platform to be doing, or do we just want a different space platform for this purpose? Because the more we add to one space platform, the slower everything is. So yeah, I think actually we need to just make another whole space platform here. So we copy that as space platform, and this is going to be Aquilo quantum support. Let's be more specific on that so that we know what exactly it's doing. So that is just going to be built over a little bit of time. And that's that. Okay. So we have this set up. If we wanted to scale this, we need to import crude oil. I think actually crude oil is kind of like the major limiting factor here on Aquilo, just because we need to constantly use it to get rid of the ammonia. And there are other recipes that use ammonia, but like maybe rocket fuel is maybe rocket fuel could be the trick. All right, the space platform got built, which means we can now click paste, pop that in, and then we can just not think about that for a while. It'll get done eventually. Because yeah, if we wanted to, like, my dream would be to just be able to like copy this, paste it down next to it, have more power production, and then copy it again, paste it down next to it, have more power production, and just do that a bunch of times until we have enough power, and likewise do that up here until we have enough ice blocks. But the crude oil demand is going to make that harder, unless, I don't know. There's more lithium brine up there that we've scanned, and down there. So, like, I guess we can do something with that. It's not entirely impossible. But, like, we're always going to be running on, we need more oil, and we have a lot of it here, so maybe it's not a concern for the short term, and maybe I should just be managing it for now. And let's see here. So if we were to just accept that this is going to take a lot of crude oil, how do we change this design in a way that helps it almost tile? It doesn't need to like perfectly tile, but if the crude oil is like our main input, it would be nice for that to just be connected across everywhere. So if we were to just copy paste this entire thing, like out to here, I wish I could get that beacon without getting the rocket launch system. So we just copy paste that. We run a little bit over to the side, and let's keep it aligned the same, I guess, just for consistency's sake. Leave a little bit of space, and so if we just like plop that in like so, then that is all going to get built up. And then we need to get this pipe here. No, this pipe here is the crude oil pipe, which needs to get connected up. And then we need 349 more ice blocks, which is going to take a minute and a half. Let's see, how many ice blocks do we have? Okay, we have 300 some ice blocks up there. So I guess what we actually need is to just put another drone port in. So that drone port can go down there. And then that can all connect across. And this should be getting itself built. And now we're going to wind up short on a whole bunch of other things. Which, hopefully, once this drone port is in, that might stop being an issue. Vulcanist Support 3. How have you run out of ammo? I feel like this one in particular has had this problem numerous times. Okay, I know what to do. If we just upgrade the modules in there, all of these get faster modules, then that should solve the problem eventually once it gets back around to itself. Alright, so this roboport has almost been built. And once this roboport is built, all of this stuff should get assigned, I think. And there's not much we can do until that happens. But it is within range of this roboport, so it should get built. Alright, any second now. Where is the one drone in particular that's doing that part of the job? Okay, there it is. Maybe? No, that's power. That's the power pole, which is also necessary. We finished researching fusion reactor. That's huge. So, we have this. We still need a bunch of superconductors to do it. So that is just sort of going to be sitting there as an option for us for the future. And how is it taking this drone, like, to get this one corner piece in? It's taking it absolutely ages. Okay, I think that's it. There we go. So now that is in. All of this stuff has been assigned. Oh, I see. The drones have to spend forever charging, and this one roboport is not quite up to the task yet. Fortunately, our power grid is. So it's just how much this one roboport can charge, which is the limiting factor. Okay, well let's address that then. Just get a couple more roboports in various places to help with the charging. That is something that we can just brute force to a certain extent. Also, I can personally walk in here and assign a bunch of these drones. Not all of them, but a bunch of them. Alright, so that's now all going. Our construction bots are apparently all active right now. Do we have more construction bots in there that I can throw in? No, we don't. Okay, let's get Aquilo support back here. Okay, my inventory isn't full, so that's not the problem. Oh, it's just my power armor is... No, it's got a portable fission reactor. It should be fine. Yeah, so this is all going. It's taking a very comedically long time. But it is getting there eventually. You see, all these guys have their ice blocks ready to go and get placed. And that is that. Alright, so this, it's just kind of hilariously slow and inefficient, but it is getting there. It is slowly getting there. So now this is getting built up, but apparently it's maybe missing some things, which we can designate ourselves. And we still need to build the crude oil pipe, which I guess we can do that now. So this pipe just goes down here, runs across this way. No, we don't want it to do that, because that would be awkward and not straight. Okay, stop doing that weird stuff. Just build normal straight lines, please. Thank you. And then this, then at this point we just wrap down to here to follow this existing heat pipe. So just have to do something like that. And then we need to get all of this stuff designated out. Like that. And then up into there. Okay, so that is doing its thing. The construction bots are still having trouble charging, but hopefully we've made it slightly better for them. Power grid's still going strong. This seems pretty much stable, I would say. And we haven't used our storage tank of water yet. So this... it all just has to get built in, and like, it's one of those things where it basically has to be 100% complete before anything at all happens. Like, having a partially completed setup here is not useful. So this is very, very slow. Why is it so dang slow? Well, Aquilo support is on its way back. Aquilo Quantum support is still just getting built. This happens reasonably quickly nowadays, which is nice. And now this is all going, and the more drone ports we have, theoretically the faster this will be, because they'll have to spend less time waiting at one particular port charging. Okay, I can speed this up dramatically just by standing in the area myself. And that is apparently all we can do there, although I might be able to help out by doing this. Just use the Spidertron's power supply as well as just my own. So that is now going out. And what else does this need? It needs even more of these. Which is the Spidertron. Okay, we can run over there, have the Spidertron do all that stuff. And now it's mostly low on supplies as well. I don't know why it thinks I don't have recyclers. Oh, because those are in my personal inventory, and my one portable fission reactor is clearly not enough. Okay, let's see here. This is 750 kilowatts. This exoskeleton that I have in here is irrelevant because I'm spending 100% of my time in a Spidertron. Likewise, this belt immunity equipment. So we can save some power there. And, I mean, it will help marginally. If I had more of this stuff, the energy shield isn't draining power, I don't think, because it's not doing anything. But if I had another fission reactor, I might be able to squeeze it in. Then this guy... yeah, no, the fission reactor is just very big, is the problem. It takes up a ton of space. It's a 4x4. And again, I think we just remove the exoskeletons because I'm just not much in a rush. Now the mobility stuff, like the belt immunity equipment and stuff, I do want to have on this. Alright. It's so much slower. Oh, it's so much slower. Okay, yeah, no, we're going back on that. It's not worth it. You can have your exoskeletons back. Alright. So now we are short 90 refined concrete and one offshore pump. So let's get the offshore pump crafted and built. There we go. So the fusion stuff has been built up, or has been researched at least. So that's going to be cool in the future. And now we just need this to make it the rest of the way here. I don't know why it keeps using refined concrete. Surely regular concrete ought to also work, right? If I just sort of expand that around a bit. Okay. That has done some stuff. But I just need to, like, catch all the little gaps. Okay, there we are. So now that is set up. So the last thing we need to do is get the heat connected up properly, because apparently this heat pipe here isn't the whole thing. So you have 9 heat pipes to give. Just squeeze them in there. And that all gets built. And so now this secondary power area should be built, and it should work just fine once all of this gets booted up. So that pipe up there is now going. Now we have our ice. And so this corner here, some of these corners are going to take a while to get set up, but it is running now. And okay, we never placed in the second programmable speaker, but that's fine. So we can just get one of those crafted. And can we, like, just get that placed in? Just so we have somewhere to stand in that weird area in there. There's no reason for that to be a pond. Okay, so yeah, now we have this guy complaining about the water supply, but we have plenty. We just need the temperature to get up. And this temperature over here is staying mostly stable. We've done another research. Let's see if we can unlock Foundation. That would be cool for Fulgora. What's this that we're short of? Okay, we need this to get set up to bring the oil around, I guess. And I could have sworn we had like 20 billion just regular old concrete. Apparently not. So let's send all this stuff down. And I don't think the number of construction bots is the problem. I guess we'll send down another 100 of each, just in case. Alright, so that can now go and get these last couple chunks over here built up. So now we have oil going through this. And what is this? Alright, that was just built wrong, so we can just connect that across like so. And now this is providing its own temperature, which should prevent some horrible catastrophe from this dropping down too low, which it is kind of gradually decreasing a bit. But now that this is in, that should recover. And we should be all good there. Gosh, this planet is so complicated. There's just so much stuff to do. So we're building up our water supply, and this temperature is going up. All this is happening, and we might need to run back over this way and attach more crude oil in. So let's get some more pump jacks. And those are going to take a while to manually craft, because of course they do. Aquilo quantum support is still getting built, and it's going to take a while, even once it gets built. Okay, I actually have a bit of an idea here. We need to use these speakers more often, basically. So if we pop one of you down, connect you to that belt, read belt contents, hold all belts, and if you see that rockets are greater than, I don't know, maybe 20, that should mean that this belt is mostly saturated. And then you are not going to play an alert, but you will show an alert, which will be, I guess, just a cargo pod signal and space platform ready. There we go. And then we're going to have to go down to Novice, probably, and get a production line to actually craft those. So this just goes in, and you are set to be... Where are these things? There they are. So you're set up like that. You get your power pole, and that should give us our programmable speakers. And, man, Novice is so weirdly huge compared to Aquilo. Alright, so that is all up and going. That just needs to craft its speakers. And yeah, we should probably just get more alerts for various other things around the factory. Just so that we can have a good grasp of things that are going on. Right, just being able to tell what's happening on Vulcanus at a glance without actually going to Vulcanus would be huge, for example. Alright, so this is up to the mid-400s. It's gonna be producing power any second now. And once it does... Actually, before it does, there's no need to wait for that necessarily. Let's go up here. And we should be able to do basically the same thing. So if we just copy this setup and pop you over here, then that can all get built up, and we will simply need to run the crude oil pipe over, not like that. And so that's going to need to go underground so that our heat pipes can catch up. Do we need to build from this mode now? Is that the point we're at? Where we just do that and that. And then that's all in. And now let's just pop a drone port up in that region as well. And let's see what happens. So we don't have much of the useful supplies here in our personal inventory anymore. So we kind of just need that drone port to get built. Let's see, we should be able to help a little bit just by grabbing some of this stuff. Okay, and then the other thing which we were in the middle of doing before I got distracted with that was we need to add a little bit more oil production into this system. So this goes up that way, connects up to you, and then connects back to you. So then we have our heat pipes, which we go into drone mode for. Get this connected all the way, and then through there and around that way. Okay, so that's all been designated and is now being built up. Although it seems like we're still some concrete short. Aquilo support is here, right? We just dropped off a whole bunch of concrete and everything, right? Or am I going crazy? There's all this refined concrete here, which we have. Okay, but... Oh, I know where all the regular concrete is going. It's all going into this stupid thing. Okay, yeah. You get disconnected. Let's pick you up. Send, like, most of this stuff into there. And then keep some of it for personal use. So then we can run up here. Get a bunch of this stuff designated. And now we are mostly waiting on the 70-some ice cubes, which we seem to actually be short of. Which is, of course, why we're expanding this out. But sort of a chicken and the egg problem here. So these ones are like perpetually fluid ingredient short. And this one is like mostly output full, so it's not even like a major issue. I guess if we just do that, then this will be slower and these guys should get more of the ammonia. Because this should be producing enough ammonia. Unless... Oh, it physically needs a faster inserter here to get enough ice cubes out. 12.5 ice cubes is a lot. So let's also move that upgrade over to there for when it has it. So now this is actually producing a lot closer to the advertised amounts. So there we go. And then this is still capable of dealing with it as long as these are running at all. So this is capable of destroying 12 ice cubes per second, right? Because it goes 16 down to 4. This one produces 12.5. So if these run at all, then this isn't needed. Otherwise, this is doing its thing. And these apparently also need bulk inserters in order to keep up with their input demands. So let's get that in. So this is 125. Can we get this just like as precise as possible? So this is 125.5 ammonia solution output. And I can't imagine being more precise than that, although this is also output full most of the time, so it's not like it matters. So yeah, that, I mean, it should be fine. As long as it's running continually, it's not like, you know, we're going to be losing a couple percentage points, but like whatever. So this is making the ice cubes. We're only 30 ice cubes short now. And we can run up there and get some more of these things set up. Apparently we've used our last chemical plant. So you need to get back to Novice and ask for a stack of like 20 of those. Actually, the trip is long enough that you should ask for 40. And we've successfully researched Foundation. which is pretty great. So now that's a thing. I guess let's queue up Captive Biter Spawner next. Just, that'll be convenient at some point. At some point soon we'll want to have that. Okay, so this oil production down here, we need to get it powered mostly. And then we need that to go like that. We need a heat pipe. And heat pipe goes into there to get this one unfrozen. And then we just need some random drone to finally get over here and place that in so that this can all function. Oh, and of course we need that power line to get moved. Then we need another heat pipe in there. And then just get that power line placed down there. Okay, so now that's all functional. And this one is also running at apparently like 20 billion oil per second compared to the lower ones. Why is that one so good? What the? Alright, whatever. That one is just cool, I guess. All the rest of these are like 200 and 300. Yeah, it's just kind of weird that these all produce like different rates. I guess it's fine though. So let's... Actually, if you're going to be like so hyper efficient, let's try to make you last a little bit longer, but still end up speed modulating you. There we go. So now you are even faster than ever and also more productive than ever. So that should be plenty of crude oil now. And now the roboports are draining more power than even that rocket silo spike, which is crazy. That should be wrapping up soon, right? Oh, and this roboport needs... I need to just get some of this stuff into my inventory so that I can stop having to go into the alternate view every single dang time. Okay. And then, once this is all connected, then we'll just need the chemical plants, which are apparently a super far distance away. So that's rough. So that's all going, and that's fine. Science production is still apparently working, and this hardly ever needs to run. But yeah, so science production is going. We seem to have hit the point where we have used all of our built-up cryogenic science. That's fine, though. The rocket silo is just mostly powering itself from the space platform, so there's no troubles there. And then the power system over here is more than fine, and the roboports seem to have mostly wrapped up what they've been doing and dropped back down to reasonable levels. So now it's once again beacons making up the majority of our power budget, which is fine. We've got plenty of crude oil. We just need this stuff up here to get built. We need those two chemical plants, and I guess we also would want this whole system to be powered. So we can do that. And that's all good. So this one up here is still running successfully. And yeah, the chemical plants, I assume crafting them here is going to take, okay, actually manageable. This is what our crafting resources are for. Let's craft up a bunch of those guys so that we can get this built up. And then we're just going to stand here until it gets placed. Alright, there's that one. And then just a couple more random intermediate products before we get this built up. And then we should be properly set up to get rid of all the excess ammonium. And also provide a little bit more heating into the system. Which probably isn't necessary at this point, but every little bit counts. And now this has officially started producing some platforms. Okay. So we are doing pretty well here. We're actually expanding beyond the boundaries of the starter island. So the lithium brine is seemingly relatively easy to find. I mean, there's a patch up there, there's a patch down here. But really, we need, like... we need more radars or something to scan more, because we're also going to need more oil at some point. Although that is something which we can just import from space if it's an issue. So yeah, I think that's all going well. Now let's loop back to Novice, see how things are going here, just confirm, yes, so the cryogenic science is the limiting factor there. And Aquilo quantum support is mostly built, but hasn't quite started producing ammo yet. So again, that we just need the ice cube system to fill up. So we need to fill up this whole giant water pipe. And once we have enough ice cubes that it starts getting past this row, then we can start crafting ammo once we have the calcite to make iron. And I do kind of wonder if we, like, set this up so that that goes in a different order, that we could get this whole system booted up a lot faster. But it's probably fine. Okay, what we can do, just like as a quick, easy fix here, is some recyclers. So if we get metallic and carbonic asteroid reprocessing just in here, it's so nice without the stupid heat pipes and everything, and also without power poles. So these guys here should provide us, yes, oxide chunks, go past here, and get this booted up. So now we have our iron, and this is low power. Oh, we're running all of this off of the solar panels, right? Nuclear fuel needs to be ticked. And actually, how does the power go off of the solar panels? Pretty badly. So yeah, we just need to get our nuclear fuel launched up, which should be basically trivial. And there we go. Now we have the occasional rocket getting produced. Nothing crazy, but once the power grid goes, then it'll definitely start cooking a lot faster. Because this is just running on low power mode along with everything else. Of course, the inputs aren't great either, but these are also low power, so they're not grabbing as much as they could. So yeah, we just need those fuel cells to get up here, and then it should be pretty quick, I would think. So that is going. It says there's 100 on the way. It's always hard to tell, like, how on the way is. Okay, we just finished like 20 trillion rockets. Surely not all of those were launching rocket fuel. Okay, that is just launching drones or something. Okay, so this does have power now. So these are going. They're just going to heat up a little bit, which will take some time as usual. In the meantime, this is going slowly but surely. Alright, so this just needs to get up to the high enough temperature that this can run. Very similar to Aquilo, actually, but less annoying because we don't have to get the heat pipes next to every single individual block. Alright, so temperature is going up. Once that hits a critical threshold, then we'll be good to go. And the uranium fuel cells... Novice is still producing plenty of those, right? There's no dramatic shortages here. Yeah, that's all fine. So we just sent a bunch up, and we're already back to full. That's what you love to see. And we are mining a little bit more uranium to compensate. That's all good. Alright, so yeah, everything there is looking correct. No problems on the nuclear front. This coal mine here doesn't seem to be having issues. Okay. Is this running properly? How's our quality going? We've got 50 of these guys, and the ability to produce a whole bunch more if we need to. Then, okay, this whole system mostly just creates petroleum gas, which we don't really need that much of. So we're only looping half a belt of coal, actually. Okay, so yeah, we need that to go like that to get that going faster, so we can use both sides of our coal belt. And that should be cool. Because, yeah, the plastic supply is still very much in high demand. And it actually seems like plastic supply is the main shortage now. So the iron and copper have had time to build up a bunch. And we have blue circuits, we've got green circuits, so it's just red circuits basically that we're struggling with. But we have 91 tier 4 productivity modules, so that's pretty cool. I'm happy with that. Now we are going to be, we're not that far off from having to scale up to legendary, so it's not like we've fixed quality forever. And we also only just have modules, nothing else. So we still got a long ways to go on the quality front, but we're making progress for sure. And the ice cubes are going. That looks fine. Okay. So, we have power. We have enough power breathing room to do most of what we want at any point now. We also have like some amount of ice block platform production to keep that going well. Is this one... Are you doing fine? You're doing fine, you're doing fine. I think you just need the bulk inserter upgrade. Like that. Alright, so yeah, this all looks like it's going well. And we have a couple of those. And that goes up and finishes. Alright, so that all looks fine. So, what we need to do now is we need to start working on the processor things. So, quantum support here. Actually, we can craft the processors on the space platform, right? Foundations are insanely expensive, as I checked earlier. So processors can be crafted on Aquilo or on the space platform. Let's do that on the space platform so I don't have to deal with all this nonsense. Although, actually, the fluoroketone... How do we get that up there? Can that be barreled, or... It says it can be crafted on the space platform. So, like, I have to imagine there is some way of getting fluoroketone up there, right? So, I guess let's get an assembly machine down and see what can and can't be barreled. Alright, so, barreling. Alright, we can do fluoroketone barrels. So that should be fine then. And does this... It produces 5 hot fluoroketones, so we're going to need to work with that. But it should be fine. Yeah, so the barrels are a workable option. We're just going to need to, like, find... I mean, this pipe here is not anywhere near long enough, so we're going to have to just... I guess we can just barrel up the hot stuff. How did I have this set up? So that is less than 1,000. Okay, let's make that more so that we can produce some more stuff. So that is going and should be producing spare fluoroketone. So we need to get this up into a barrel somewhere, which... Can I just grab some of these dang heat pipes so that I can do that manually without having to go into drone mode to place them? Alright, so we need to get this pipe up onto the other side of that, which... Let's see here. How have we always done that? We can grab some space in here, potentially. I know we've done this, like, a bunch of other times. Oh, we can just take output from this. But that wouldn't provide us access to our big storage tank. Okay, what if we take you, we chop that, you go across, and then you go through like that, and then it all gets built up and back to normal. So now we have access to the fluoroketone out here, and that just needs to go directly into a barreler, which I guess is going to be hot. And then we need barrels, which, let's see here. You need to pick up some barrels as well. Not many. How many can a rocket a rocket can store 200. So let's, I guess, send that many up. Although we don't even have that many stored on Novice. So let's find where that is and expand it. Where do we make our barrels originally? I think it's like over in this area here. Okay, no, that is using the barrels. That's using the barrels. Barrels, barrels, barrels. Does anyone see a barrel symbol? Maybe over here somewhere. I mean, I can set up a new production line for them if I need to. It's not tremendously difficult, but I just know that we have one already. Okay, I feel like I'm going crazy. Where is our barrel supply? It's so hard to find. I wonder if there's like a search system in here or something. Like search for buildings that produce X. That would be convenient. In that row, no. Down in this blob, doesn't seem like it. We got some random assorted nonsense. Oh, there is. Control F. Huh. Neat. That's handy. Oh wait, no, I typed a letter. Okay, it's over here. I found it. That is good to know. Alright, so let's just expand that out. It's an incredibly minimal amount of steel plate demand just to get all the barrels that we need. So that can produce a whole bunch more and be good to go. Yeah. Control F is incredibly useful to know about. Very happy that that's an option. Alright. Rockets are making their way around. They've still kind of only just started backfilling, though, so it's going to be a little bit longer still. But it looks like things are mostly working here on the space platform, and we... let's see, we might be able to get the crafting in just like in this area here without moving too much stuff around. So let's actually just start getting that built on the space platform, because we're going to be waiting for it for a while otherwise. So this belt just goes underground along there, and these are... okay, they're made in an electromagnetic plant. So we just get one of those in, and how does the spacing for this work? It's so hard to tell with some of these machines, like where exactly they are on the grid. So that's only one space back from that. So you get a supply from there, which is going to feed you with all of these things. And then we need to worry about the fluoroketone barrels, which unfortunately we're getting out the hot fluoroketone, so we need this, which means that this belt needs to go underground. And this is going to be such a scuffed setup. So you do cooling. And, okay, if we shift you slightly down, it might be a little easier, but we can just do that. That's fine. Then we get this. No, why is that underground pipes? Just regular pipes. That goes around there. Everything is so much easier when you don't have to worry about the heat pipes everywhere. Jeez, okay. It just works. Like, you just drag a thing and it gets there. Alright, so obviously that cryogenic plant, we're going to have to go over to Aquilo to get that built. And then we just need to get the source of hot fluoroketone in here, which... we need space to do that. Because we need an unbarreler. Okay, we need to, like, I guess move some of these around, just sort of over this way. So that should be about the same amount of storage space, but now we have this room to work with. So, we have you, and you are going to be filtered to fluoroketone hot barrels. And then we're going to get an output here, which is going to be filtered to barrels. Alright, then this is set to empty fluoroketone hot barrels. And then that points that way, and the pipe runs down there. And then we just need to do something to prevent that from getting stuck in some way. So just like a basic setup like that. This can be read contents. This can be enable disable. So if fluoroketone hot is less than 10, let's say, then you can run, otherwise just sit there and do nothing. Alright, so then this gets most of these things imported from here, and they're all very slow, so a single bulk inserter should be able to deal with all of them. And then we just have another inserter just put the final products back into that. And now, if we can just get this space platform all the way around to all the various different places, then it'll be good to go. Speaking of being good to go, rocket launches seem like they're... It seems like this is close. Okay, no. It's all the way around here somehow. That's taken a while. Okay, so now let's head back here. So this can do the barreling if we just get it heated up. So that does the barreling, and now... Okay, we need you to actually make your way over to Aquilo so that you can drop off some barrels to make this whole thing work. And we are just going to go with the classic barreling procedure of just requester chesting them in, because that is just dramatically easier than doing anything else. And then this will then output to a chest like that. And then we just need this heat pipe to get all the way around like that, and the power pole. Okay. So that makes our barreled fluoroketone. This is that you're going to need to be a passive provider chest. And so we have fluoroketone and lithium plates, so that's all we need from here. Okay, wait, we also need technically this. You need to be a passive provider chest so that we can output the cryogenic plants. And do we have a good amount of this stuff. So let's toss that in and get a couple more cryogenic plants for the future where we're going to need them inevitably. Alright, so this is getting all booted up. So then we need to add fluoroketone hot barrels to your request. I don't know how many of these we're going to need. Let's start with 50 and see if that's too many or too few. It's kind of difficult to tell. They store a ton, actually. Okay, yeah. 50 should be plenty. I would assume at this point that that's not going to be an issue. Okay, the rockets are making their way. We're almost there. So our next step is to set up your route. So you need to go to Fulgora until you have... what were you looking for? Superconductors? Yeah. Fulgora until you have superconductors. Or 120 seconds of inactivity. And that has to be greater than... I don't know... 100 maybe? So then you have to go to Aquilo until you have item count. Lithium plates are greater than 100, and item count, where are they? Fluoroketone hot barrels are greater than 10. Not sure how much of the numbers will actually matter, but let's get those in. Then you also need to go to Gleba until item count, where is it? Carbon fiber is greater than 100. And then you need to go to Vulcanus until item count tungsten carbide is greater than 100. And then let's add the inactivity requisites as well, just in case, just so that nothing ever gets completely stuck just sitting there. I clicked the wrong one. Alright, so you get that, and that's ore. Okay, this one is set to time passed, which I don't want. I want it to be inactivity, just because if it's actively doing something, I'm fine with it sitting there, I think. Alright, and then... Okay, then you also need to go... Okay, you can grab you can grab blue circuits from Fulgora. So blue circuits up there, because Fulgora has plenty of those, and I think when we go to expand things, we're going to make Fulgora the center of blue circuit production, basically. And then, okay, you don't want to be doing science. That's someone else's job, or holmium plates for that matter. No low density structures or rocket fuel needed. Okay, and then you have the interrupt to go back to novice if you need fuel. So that should be fine. The order of these. So I guess let's take a look at the space map. So I guess we would want you to go like Fulgora, Aquilo, Gleba, Vulcanus, or something. So yeah, that actually works, right? And then in order to restart the loop, we just have to pass through Novice to Fulgora again. Yeah, so that should be fine. And how has this been going? Aquilo support hasn't made it back to Aquilo with the barrel. Oh, the barrels are something else we need to set up. So you need to request some barrels. I don't know how many. Actually, let's have it be 100, just so that it's more than we have on the space platform. So that is going to request those barrels. This is going to send them down. Apparently we grabbed 200 barrels. I don't think we need that many. So then that will get this set up. And okay, yeah, science is not currently terribly consistent. Hopefully it'll get there eventually. Speaking of getting there eventually, is there anything of interest out in space? Not really. The ocean is big and mostly empty. There is lithium brine though, so we're not going to run out of that. So that's good. So this is going to request its barrels, which hopefully will get. Hopefully we'll keep this a nice closed loop, so the barrel. This will send its extra barrels down, and then it'll send them back up. Okay, why does it want me to import these from Novice? How would I ever be getting those barrels on Novice? You take those from there, those from Fulgora, those from Fulgora, those from Gleba, and we also need to ask you for your lithium plates. Okay, so that should be everything. And we are just going to need it to get up to Aquilo first in order to start the chain by getting the cryogenic plant. Alright. The rockets are almost there. I mean, they're like, what? Probably 2/3 at this point. So that's going well. Is there like a major limiting factor here? It's just the sulfur. Okay, yeah, so the sulfur is not exactly easy to get. That's not because it's stuck or anything, it's just because it's kind of slow. And these recyclers might not be helping that by picking off a whole bunch of these as they come through. It should be fine, though, ultimately. Like, once this starts moving, there'll be plenty of everything on the belt. And I'm actually kind of tempted to just send it off once the front half, like, once the front row, once the rockets get down to, like, here, maybe, I'll send it off, just because I'm kind of being impatient. And that should still be enough, because the front row should be the place that's most in danger. It'll be a bit before we get to the part of the map that even needs rockets at all, so they'll have more time to cook. The regular ammo is completely stockpiled, so that's not a concern. And just getting it moving we'll get more rocks through, which will get us going faster. So yeah, that should be any second now. Now back over on Aquilo, how is this going? Aquilo support is here. I'm pretty sure it's dropped the barrels down. And that should mean... yes. So this is now successfully making some fluoroketone barrels. There's another couple barrels on the way. So those can get crafted in. Alright, that is getting there. And we're now up to 48. So these drones are not especially good at keeping it steady progress, but I don't think we really need steady progress. Okay, power is still fine. Ice cube supply, we've got 164 there, 380 some there, 300 there. Alright, we're going to be able to keep expanding out relatively well now. So that's good. Is there anything else on this? Oh yeah, we wanted the chemical plants. Probably just always want heat pipes. And the pipes and everything aren't going to hurt either. So let's send some of those down. And from there, we're probably mostly fine. We finished Captive Biter Spawner, which is a lot of work to craft, but will be pretty convenient once we need it. Alright, so then we can go back to here, and I guess... I mean, I don't really care about rocket part productivity. We're not going to need railguns for a long time. So let's just queue up legendary quality. And that will start working slowly but surely. And eventually we will get the ability to do some of that stuff. We have 120 barrels of hot fluoroketone. That has significantly depleted the supply in here, but that's fine. It should balance out. I mean, let's see, we're producing 8 up there, and this is only ever going to draw, like, what, 0.66 of it, but even less than that because of the recycling. So yeah, once it gets the buffer set up, we're never going to, like, run out of the stuff, basically. Okay, and I also want this buffer to be increased significantly because we are going to be using a decent chunk of that. That's 0.46 per second. This is going to be using 0.13, so actually, I mean, relative to the minuscule supply of it, not a trivial amount. And yeah, so that is all fine then. With this being 0.46, that being 0.3, we might actually be cutting it a little bit close, but we can always just, yeah, and let's actually do that. Let's just pop that in another speed module. So now we have a lot more cushion on that front, and we don't really need all these efficiency modules everywhere anymore, because now that our power grid is actually reasonable. But there's no necessarily need to remove them. A lot of the productivity module stuff here isn't super significant, just because, like, most of the things here are infinite. So, you know, getting more efficiency out of your infinite supply isn't a huge deal. It is still somewhat decent for, like, later products down the chain, like I don't know, some of this stuff where we're combining it with speed modules to get a lot of output, but for the most part, modules, mostly speed modules, are good here. Alright, so that's good. Speaking of novice taking damage, we expanded our artillery range a while ago, and really, all things considered, not much of interest happened with that. seems like we're just mostly cleared at this point. A couple of those guys are a bit close. Let's put the pollution overlay. So yeah, we're not completely out of the woods. And there's also this corner down here, which now that we can craft biter spawners, I don't even know like how much we need to be letting this exist. But they're also like technically not even in our pollution cloud, so it's probably fine. Alright. So this is Aquilo support, and it's doing fine. Aquilo quantum support is basically all set. Alright, so yeah, we are gonna send you off for your starting off voyage, and we'll see what happens. You're gonna have to get all the way to Gleba first before you even start going into the area where the rockets are needed. So yeah, I could have launched this probably like 15 minutes ago and been fine. But it is what it is. So we will be getting more stuff out of that, but there's not really much need to babysit it, since like its core functions are just like the very well established functional Aquilo support. Which, speaking of that, do we need to drop anything down here? Let's actually, it's been a while since I've dropped electrical poles. It seems like the sort of thing we could be running low on without realizing. Okay, yeah, and then you can just head back for now. At some point, we're gonna have to create like completely automated resupply missions for Aquilo, because unlike the other planets, even in theory, like we can't make this place able to expand on its own because there's no iron or copper. So we're gonna need to like either set up a space platform in orbit, dumping iron and copper and all the other stuff we can't get down here, or just set up automatic resupply platforms that will come with, you know, the chemical plants and pipes and stuff that we need every so often. Either one of those would work. And probably just the automatic resupply would be more convenient. Okay, yeah, so that alert has gone, which we already kind of knew about because we were paying closer attention to it than I was expecting to when I set that up. But so now we don't even need that at all anymore, and we can just get rid of that. And now that's just going. Alright, so yeah, I think this is pretty much solid. I would love to be able to start actually crafting the quantum computer things, quantum processors, before we end the stream. We've probably got enough time to make that happen, right? So back over on Aquilo. What do we need most urgently here? I guess it would have to be more science, which is unfortunately still kind of a nuisance to upgrade, because we need more lithium, and we need to like physically squeeze it in. So yeah, let's honestly just leave that for when we expand this significantly, once we have enough ice cubes to like be able to build out this entire area as part of our platform. Then we're gonna start doing major renovations here. For now, I think just keeping it small and efficient is better. So Aquilo support 2, you're still perfectly successful at providing all that stuff. Aquilo quantum support is moving, and all the rockets are built up and everything, so this is now just functioning normally, with the exception of these, which I don't think make any meaningful difference. So yeah, once this gets to Aquilo, we can launch stuff up and then just see what happens from there. It's going to be a bit of a giant round trip for that to do anything. Okay. So that's all good. Our productivity modules here, we're up to 103 of these. And 50 of these. Let's actually set that to be able to store 100. Because we should be able to craft them relatively easily. And it should help us when it comes time to get to the legendary quality. We're going to need a whole lot of modules for that. And speaking of having a whole lot of modules, where can we throw those extra productivity modules in to improve things? So obviously this one is taking like all of the plastic processing. Our coal supply, we've still somehow managed to only use like one side of the belt. How has that happened? It's because of just the way that these are merged in. Alright, you go up like that. You go up like that. And... okay, wait, no, that's not what we want. That... we want... this one. I don't know why I keep dismantling them. We want this one to go up like that. So that should be good. And now this is completely emptied, so we can just dismantle those. And while we're at it, let's get rid of all these beacons, which now do nothing. I don't normally dismantle things, but I was just staring at it, so might as well. And, okay. I want these to all be stack inserters, so that the belt can carry more and be more efficient that way. Because currently, that's like the main reason why the plastic is such a limiting factor here, because this belt is just kind of bad. Alright, so now that's all set up. It should also be drawing evenly, I think, from all of these sides, which I believe it wasn't doing previously. So hopefully that will help a little bit. So now it's back. And the stack inserters are showing up. So that is going in. And just one short. And there we go. Now we've got a whole lot more coal on this belt. And that's all good. So now this should work faster, and our coal supply is certainly strong enough that we're not going to have serious issues with it. Although it is certainly being heavily used. So is this... we might want to make these stack inserters physically just so that they load faster. Because that is like a relevant difference in terms of making this whole process get more coal throughput. So let's do that. And obviously it won't come around here, but yeah, the coal throughput isn't even that good. So like it's not that fast of a process because it can only store 50 a stack. But we still want it to load, like, spend as little time loading and unloading as possible, basically, is the ideal. And I think we probably make these all stack inserters too, just to help with that even more. So that I can literally just unload in like 5 seconds and then get going from there. So there we go. And these steel chests can store a little bit more than the train can, right? This is 48 stacks and this is 40. So that should be all cleared. And while we've been staring at that, Aquilo quantum support is almost to Aquilo. And now we're going to run into the problem where we have like a lot of rocket launches to do. And Aquilo is not that great at launching rockets. Because it's got just plus 1%. It's got one speed module. Which is certainly quite slow. So it's going to take a while. Plus the drones are also not great here. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of work just launching this stuff up to start with. We also need it to send up the cryogenic plant, which... Okay, can we get that? There's not enough to fill a rocket. Well, we literally only need you to have one. Custom minimum payload of 1. Oh, I was trying to scroll it down and wondering why it wasn't working, because that would bring it down to 0. And, okay, this can also be a value of 1 there. So that should be fine. And we have all of our fluoroketone here now, which is just like that. And a whole bunch of barrels are going back. Which should, like, immediately drop most of those down, right? And you can stop requesting barrels now because we don't need more of those. And because it's a closed loop there, we never should need more barrels. So yeah, there goes all the barrels. The lithium plates are getting sent up next. And that is going. We're already 60% of the way to the next launch. So that's cool. We are getting there, although how much of this stuff do we even have stored? We might run out of blue circuits here in a second. Yeah, you probably need to move like 1,000 blue circuits at a time from Fulgora, just because Aquilo is doing a lot of rocket launching and is entirely dependent on that supply. Same thing with the other bits as well. And let's set these up as well so that you have enough requests of them all to hopefully be stable. Alright, so we can do that. That should be okay. And then we also need more space here. So let's get another one of these guys in. And that should keep us from running out of room in this cargo landing pad. There we go. That's going. This is going all the way back to Novice to unload some stuff. So how is this doing? It's got another rocket launch queued up, so it's mostly fine. We're just looking for... Oh wait, no, it left Aquilo. Okay. I want you to go back because you're not accomplishing anything without the cryogenic plant. That is kind of vital. So you can go back to Aquilo, pick up your cryogenic plant, and then go about your business. Picking up carbon fiber. Actually, do I even have carbon fiber? Is that in a thing to be picked up at all? Yes, it is. Alright. And we've got thousands of it, so that's not going to be a problem. And this has 2 full rockets prepared, so it should be able to figure out how to launch its singular cryogenic plant. Alright, so that's all going well. We're almost there, and once we arrive, we should see this... Yeah, we have 2 on the way, apparently, which is 1 more than we need, but whatever. As long as we get the 1, I'm not too worried about, you know, getting a bonus 1 sent up or anything. Alright, so that rocket is up. And the plant is in. So you have your lithium plates stocked. And now you're going to have your cryogenic plant to get the fluoroketones stocked. There we go. And now you're immediately headed off. As you should. So now you're going to Gleba. And this can all work. Alright, fluoroketone, check. That number... I don't know why that's... Oh, because this produces in weird batches like that. That's why. I thought it had just gotten to the point where it was full and not accepting anymore, but it hadn't actually. It was just still filling up slowly but surely. 4 per second in batches of 10, apparently. So, we just need to make a couple more stops. At Gleba, then Vulcanus, then Fulgora, and then hopefully that will be all we need. And we will be able to start crafting the... What are these things called? Quantum processors? Oh. We should have done this. You can be hyper efficient, because that won't hurt at least. And then you can also get a speed beacon in like that. And speed modules. So now you're faster and more efficient. So that will help this production out, because we are going to need a lot of these. So let's see. In order for... We don't need them for that, but we need them for our... We need 250 for the reactor and another 50 for the generators. And then probably some other stuff for like railguns and such. So yeah, I guess we need like 300 at least. How much does this... Let's actually look at this to try to figure out how this works. So this takes fuel and fluoroketone and generates plasma. So it makes 4 plasma per second. Then these use 2 plasma per second, which means we need 2 of these, and then they generate 50 megawatts each, so that's like 100 total. And there's no... Oh, there are neighbor bonuses. Okay. So that's fun. Target temperature 1 million Celsius. That's pretty high. Alright. So yeah, these have neighbor bonuses, so we're going to be able to generate a huge amount of plasma off of this, which we then just dump into these, and that should be good. So, yeah, we're going to have to figure out exactly how those work, but it seems relatively straightforward, similar enough to the fission reactors that it shouldn't cause problems. And yeah, so now we're making our way there. Vulcanus is the source of these guys, which we have plenty of those. And Fulgora is the source of blue circuits. We've got plenty of those. And superconductors, we have plenty of those. So that, we should be all set to get this going. And unfortunately I didn't make it especially scalable, but consider we only need these so far for like limited purpose things like crafting fission reactors and I guess railguns. So yeah, we need them to like set things up to begin with, but it's not like we need a constant supply of them for a huge number of reasons. So hopefully the rate we have here should be fine, at least to get started. And the thing is, right, we can just copy paste this entire setup, build another one, and send it out, which would be very inefficient in terms of like space usage and the amount of productivity per space platform, but it is an option, and it's relatively quick to get set up that way, because I wouldn't have to do any additional design work. So yeah, I guess if I did want to scale this up, I could push this stuff over to the left, get more space in here, and I mean, really just like we would need a bunch of belts to make this, because currently we're just direct inserting from there, which makes it easy. But if we wanted to build this properly on like a row of multiples of them, we would need 5 different items to get input, which would be a bit of work to manage those all on belts. So yeah, it would be doable to expand this production line out on this one platform. And I don't know if we should probably do that at some point, maybe next stream. That's what we'll spend some time doing. Alright, so this is almost at Gleba, where it gets the next pieces of the Infinity Gauntlet or whatever. So many steps required to get this going. And foundation is somewhat similar. We need carbon fiber, lithium plates, tungsten plates this time, and stone, and cold fluoroketone. And that is mostly just necessary for Fulgora and mildly useful for Vulcanus. Yeah, you should be able to get it to fit. It's just kind of complicated. Alright, so now we're here at Gleba, and we should be getting our carbon fiber launched up. And we might have to set the requests higher, even though the demand isn't that big. Like 0.11 per second isn't that much, but also this route takes a long time to loop around, so we might need to set the requests up to like 1,000 or something, just to have enough on hand to last until we can make it all the way back to Gleba. We'll figure that out once this is all functional. Alright, so carbon fiber is here, and we're off to Vulcanus. And then once we're at Vulcanus, we're going to have to pass through Novice to get to Fulgora. And hopefully... So the good news is that these trips are relatively quick because the Aquilo one is like twice as long. So we should be able to make tracks there. And we have not that much supplies to launch more things. Aquilo Support 2 is almost filled up for its next trip, though. It's just getting the rocket fuel in. So that should be fine. I always panic when I see these, but that's intentional. Don't worry about it. Likewise with this, we've got a bunch of tanks full of steam, so there's no need to run these. Alright, so over on Fulgora, how is everything going here? Just have to check this row, so none of these guys are stuck. And we have a ton of EM science, apparently. Just more than we could ever know what to do with, it seems. So that all looks good. Over on Gleba, let's zoom out and check for attackers. Doesn't... Okay, technically there's, like, a guy down there. So... Sorry about that sneeze. So we might, at some point, have to worry about the pentapods attacking again, but it's still, like, pretty far off, so hopefully that's fine. All this stuff is looping around. We've got plenty of bioflux, it seems. And we've just launched a whole bunch of science, and we've got plenty left. So that all looks good. Vulcanus. Alright, Vulcanus was the potential problem now because our tungsten ore patch is almost drained. So that's what we're going to need to fix next. Is we're going to need to go out and pick up like this ore patch or something. And we're going to need to fight a demolisher to get there, which I'm pretty sure we have all sorts of... I'm pretty sure we ended up crafting like a bunch of ammunition on this planet somewhere. We might have wound up importing it, I can't remember. We don't have a Spidertron though. So we're going to have to either send a Spidertron over there or go there in person. Probably just send a Spidertron over, because we need to get our setup to fight the Demolisher all built in a relatively short amount of time. The Demolishers can be quite slow, but don't want to rely on that necessarily. And yeah, if we run out of tungsten supply, then like sort of everything just collapses around it. We are not going to have artillery on Novice. We're not going to have all sorts of things in various other places. Okay, is this a problem? There's a lot of oxide asteroids on this belt. Do the rest of these guys look like that? Yeah, they kind of do. Okay. So it should be fine then. There's still some variety at least. And we do have... No, our recyclers up here don't actually work properly. So that's not really a feasible option. Okay, let's see if we can... So we have this set up to do the recyclers. What if we bring you like over into you? So you are a selector combinator picking the lowest index. Now if we have you to set filter, no, that's definitely not what we want. We have successfully dumped just about everything except for the oxide asteroids out of the space platform, and definitely clear that so that you can go back to normal again. Alright, did you get... Yes, you did get the tungsten carbide. So now it is just the superconductors and the processing units, both of which we're going to be grabbing from Fulgora because it gets processing units for free and it's the source of superconductors. So we're going to have to pass through Novice first to get to there. And yeah, not much power usage going on right now. The relatively minor solar panels are doing most of the work when we're around Vulcanus. Okay, so I do want to get this thing figured out. So you... Okay, how about we take this, and instead of connecting it up directly to that, we have another sort of intermediate decider combinator in here. So you go into there. And then if for each is... Oh wait, no, it's not each. This should be anything is greater than 150, then how do we get this to work? How do we get this to work? So we want to like set this splitter to remove things if there's too much of one thing on the belt. So then you need to output... So you need to be connected up to that. Okay, so your select output side right if check equals 1 and wait, why are you now doing that? Oh, I see. So how do we... Why is it doing that anyways? Okay, left if check is not equal to 1. So you should be output side left. Just like all the time now. Yes, so this is now just back to ordinary behavior. And then you're also going to be set filter, which is not what we want. So we're just going to be breaking this. So you output check. And also whatever it is, maybe. So we've managed to break it completely, so that's always good. So why are you doing that? Oh, I see. I think we just don't need to select output side. We just do right set filter. Okay, so now if something gets to be too much, then we filter it out to the right. Otherwise, we don't use the right. And that should keep us having some nice convenient space on our belts. Alright, so that should be functional. I'm going to run a little bit over time, but we're almost there. So yeah, this should work now, and it's going to be hard to see it working because it's going to require us to have an abnormally high number of something on the belt, but I'm pretty sure it'll just work. And, okay, we can actually just... Let's see here. If we just copy-paste that whole segment and pop it over here, then you don't have a decider combinator, so that's not doing anything. Okay, so you don't have the decider combinator to build that. You'll get one eventually. You, though, do, so if we paste this into this version of it, then that... Okay, it looks like getting up to 150 is kind of difficult, although it did happen briefly. Yes, so this is working. We apparently have too much metallic asteroid chunks, according to this, and so we're occasionally just dumping some of those out, and it seems to be working. And maybe we set 150 too high, but maybe not. I mean, as long as they're all relatively even, right, it doesn't really matter how exactly they're distributed. So now this is at Fulgora, and it's got superconductors on the way, and presumably processing units shortly after that. So that's launching, and this one never got set to automatic requests because I'm incredibly good at remembering to do things. So now that can get the blue circuits, and that can launch. Okay, just getting this, like, the last little chunk filled. We're at 8 short, just because presumably the drones are off charging somewhere. So that is going. Aquilo quantum support. So yeah, it has both of these registered as on the way. And once they arrive, they've both launched almost simultaneously. And once those arrive, we should be making these. Actually, we somehow got blue circuits already on this. I'm not sure when that happened. Oh, we must have launched multiple rockets of them, because they are only 300 a rocket. Right. Alright, but anyways, now we have those. And this is now running. And boom. We have quantum processors. Now, very small number of them, but we have them, and that's the important part. So now, we can just start working about what to do with these. So we're going to be doing that next time. So on Monday, we are going to be making our fusion reactors, hopefully, and then maybe some other cool stuff too. And so that should be pretty exciting. So thanks for hanging out. Had a lot of fun here today. And we're going to be wrapping up now. So if you want to follow so that you know when I'm live, that would be pretty cool. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. And I'll be doing Factorio again on Monday, Satisfactory again on Tuesday. And that'll be that. Thanks for hanging out. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.